Hello everyone, a warm welcome to all of you. My name is Sarah Miller from Hotel Logics, and today we have hoteliers joining us from all over the world, including the United States, Europe, and Asia. I am excited to welcome Fernando Oliveira, who handles Review Express globally at TripAdvisor, and John Pribble, who is an independent hotelier as well as a design and marketing strategist. We are all waiting to hear what Fernando and John have in store for us today. Please feel free to type your questions in the question box on your screen during the last 10 minutes of the webinar, and we will answer as many as possible. It is now over to Fernando to discuss various review collection tools available.
Hello everyone, thank you Sarah for the introduction, and thank you everyone for attending. I would like to thank Hotel Logics as well for creating this opportunity to do this webinar in partnership with TripAdvisor. And today really I would like to speak to you about why reviews matter, and John will join us really to take it from the angle of the independent hotel, and then we'll cover some of the review collection tools that we have, Review Express, and also I'll talk about private surveys, which is a new feature we just launched in July, which you actually have access. And then John will talk again about his own experience in using Review Express, and I'll explain to you how to automate, and then we will go into the Q&A at the end. So let's get on with it. First, why reviews matter, right? And I want to talk to you about three types of online content that you have. Yeah, there you go. Yeah, so when you think of your content online, you can think of the paid content and the own content that you have, which you think of your branded website, your display ads, listing on the OTAs. These are content that you own and you have a high control of them. But the actual influence they have on today's travelers is not very high. It's actually moderate to low. But then you have the earned content, which you can have blog entrants, forums, and ratings and reviews. This is something that you have a lower control, but they are highly influential. And here is really to set the tone why reviews matter. They are highly influential when travelers are deciding where to go, where to stay. So really, what I want to look at now in the next slide, there is plenty of research out there done directly from TripAdvisor, Folksrite, and etc. that proves that travelers will not book a hotel without reviews, that most travelers will read reviews before deciding where to stay. To give you an example, a personal example, yesterday I was buying a product in a shop. This is offline, and it was from an independent brand. It was actually a shaver, but I didn't know anything about that brand. So I went online and I researched and I read reviews about it. And this was an offline purchase. So that just gives you how far reviews are going to. It's not even just online anymore. Even when people are buying something offline, they'll be trying to find ways to read reviews, through their mobile and etc. So the other point that reviews can have a great impact is really in driving your business. So the Cornell Hospitality Center has done a research. You may have seen this before, but it's very important to point out again, is that when you're able to improve your overall rating, so let's say if you think of the TripAdvisor 5-point scale, if you go from 3.3 to 4.3, you're able to increase your price by on average 11% without losing any business. Again, this is just based on reviews and ratings and driving more of those for your business. Now, as you know in your own experience, reviews are happening. How can you make them work for you? There are three main ideas that I think is, if anything you take away from today, take these three ideas. Embrace this reality. Reviews are happening. How can you love them, don't fear them. Engage with this reality. So, respond to reviews. Thank everyone that's taking the time to say things about your property. And also be humble to those that don't. You can learn from it. And encourage. open the door and encourage more of your guests to write reviews, to talk about your properties. As you saw in the beginning, this is earned content. So encourage them to create this earned content that would be highly influential when they decide. And now I will pass it over to John, really to talk about from the independent hotel's point of view.
Thank you, Fernando. When my hotel, the way it operates is we're a small independent, and I'm not always sure that our customers are able to find us because we don't have a large marketing budget and we're not a large brand. And so when they do find us on the internet, they rely on reviews such as TripAdvisor to make sure that we live up to their expectations. They don't have the expectations of a big national brand and all the marketing and communications budgets to let people know what our brand is about. So I rely heavily on the reviews on TripAdvisor to substantiate what it is that I tell my guests about our hotel, and by having that supported by other guests that have stayed with us, that gives us a third-party validation for our statements that we couldn't get otherwise. So it's really important for us to take advantage of that. Almost all of our guests find us online, so without the big brand name or the association with TripAdvisor, people wouldn't know how to trust us and wouldn't know whether we're credible. Also recently I came across a report from Expedia that said the future of travel, millennials are going to be much more likely to participate in the review process across all areas of travel. So as we try to open up our markets and take advantage of this new target segment that is starting to come into its own and spend more money on travel, they really rely more heavily on reviews than maybe some previous generations we've seen. So if millennials are part of your target market, then that's something that you really need to consider. I also keep in mind that I've noticed that a lot of my peers as independent hoteliers and small bed and breakfast owners are very nervous about accepting reviews. They are afraid that they'll get one bad review and that's going to crater their business, or they'll get multiple bad reviews and they don't have any way to respond to that, and they're just afraid of the whole review process, and it's filled with lots of anxiety for them. And I would encourage them to approach it the other way, that there's no better way for you to understand the value that your customers put on your business and your product offering than to allow them to give you honest, unfiltered reviews for your business. So I take it very seriously what my guests tell me in my reviews, and I use that as my #1 channel for feedback to make sure that we are doing our absolute best in providing the ultimate guest experience every day through our brand. It allows us also to react quickly to things that guests may bring up. I had a guest review a couple weeks ago that mentioned that she was a non-dairy person. She doesn't consume any butter or milk, and that she would like something to put on her toast in the morning other than butter and jam, and suggested peanut butter and Nutella. So I went out and found single servings of each of those products and now offer that, and I responded to her in TripAdvisor thanking her for her suggestion and letting her know that on her next trip to visit us that she would indeed find those things that she has suggested. So by connecting those 2 points, it makes guests feel that their opinions are validated and that they are heard and responded to, and it makes them feel more like they are part of my company and part of my brand, and ensures that they're going to come back and see me again. The biggest part of the profit in my business is not my first-time guests, but in my repeat guests. So that's really the base that I'm trying to build there, and reviews really help support that. There's also substantial search engine optimization benefits to having reviews on my site. The search engines such as Google and others look at the reviews that are in the feeder on my site as fresh new content. So every time I get a new review, it shows Google that I'm updating my site, that I'm keeping it current, that I'm investing in new content, and that shows positively in supporting my search engine rankings and moving me up. Your next guest can come from just about anywhere, and particularly with my business, with one location and no signage and no street presence, all my customers pretty much come from online, and so once they find me, then they've got to be satisfied that what I tell them about my brand and about my experience is going to be true, and that's where the reviews come in to support that as a third-party validation. And then that leads to the next thing, which is trust. And research has shown in the past that reviews help customers to build trust in a brand by providing that third-party opinion and knowing that it is just coming from me or some other potentially paid source, but because they can see that I have both extremely positive reviews and some reviews that maybe aren't 100%, they know that there's an additional level of trust and credibility there, and they feel more confident in believing my brand is what it stands for. And because TripAdvisor is such a well-established brand, my customers and guests don't have any trouble providing or trusting in the TripAdvisor brand because they know it, whereas they may have just stumbled across my brand for the first time. Fernando, would you like to take it now?
Yeah. Yes, thank you, John. Well, that's, I just want to pick on a couple of points you made there. An excellent example of how to really using the response to a review to its maximum, because it's not only about the impact it has on the actual reviewer, but it's also, it's also, and I wouldn't say even more important for all the other travelers that will come to TripAdvisor and will read that review about not having dairy products, but then read your response and the action you took, and that makes a huge difference. And it works both on positive reviews with some specific comments, as you mentioned, but also negative reviews, how you respond. Our data shows that a negative review with the appropriate response, has a positive impact on the traveler. So it's really, again, about engaging, encouraging, and embracing this reality. And that one thing that clearly then translates into is how what you see here on this slide is that how the users keep coming back to the site, and using and trusting the information out of the multiple sites that have reviews. TripAdvisor in YouGov in the UK research found that TripAdvisor came #1 as the most trusted. And it's really a reflection of what John just described. In the next slide, I just want to quickly talk to you about how hotels are engaging with TripAdvisor. So there are three main areas. A couple of those John mentioned. One is review collections, so encouraging reviews. In what we're talking about today is Review Express. And the other is online integration. John mentioned a bit of that in terms of bringing the ratings and reviews from TripAdvisor to your own website, to your own experience. And why are hotels doing this? And they are doing this because two main points. One is to create a sense of loyalty with their users, as you've shown that you're embracing what the public, what your guests are saying about your property, you're not hiding away. And this can help keep the user in your page, the traveler in your page, because otherwise at some point they will go out and read the reviews on TripAdvisor. And also it can impact your direct conversion, so how many bookings you're actually going to get on your site. We have data that shows the sites that are displaying the rates and reviews, they are likely to increase conversion. And you see this example happening across the board. So large hotel chains, Hilton, Wyndham, and etc. They are doing this already, and in small groups, and now independent is really bringing this trust. And the other point is offline integration. So bringing this online content and to the offline world, so to brochures, catalogs with stickers, and different ways that you can make it, again, show to your travelers that, okay, you're not hiding from it. Here it is. This is what you're saying about us, and we're happy about it, and we're listening to you. Then next, I want to share with you a case study, a Swissotel case study, where it shows the before and after. So before, they were encouraging reviews using a TripAdvisor solution, and after. So on the left, what you see is that before they were collecting on average 430 reviews, and after they went to about 760. So that's a 74% more reviews in that period that they've been doing this. The other point is that they managed to increase the overall rating from 4.3 to 4.5. And why? I mean, you can ask yourself, why would that happen? Why, why would when I encourage more guests to write reviews, my overall rating would increase? This is something that we see very often across the board, that when you're actively encouraging your guests, your visitors to write about your property, it's very likely that you collect more reviews, as you see, but also that those reviews will be more positive. And you can think, okay, even if that person had a bad experience, the simple fact of you actively engaging with them and saying, thank you, please let us know your opinion because we want to make sure that we improve our service, that's already a positive action from your side that will put them in a different light of how, whatever experience they had. And you're also going to be able to tap in those that had a great experience but would normally not write a review. But the fact that you encourage them, then they're more likely to do so. And ultimately, what you see on the farther right is that this group managed to increase their direct traffic going from TripAdvisor to their site by 48%. So that means they increased the number of page views and then the number of users actually going to their direct website, which is really what you're trying to achieve here. So now let's talk about Review Express. So what is Review Express? Review Express is an email solution that we created on TripAdvisor that is available to all properties. One thing that I'm not sure if you're aware, but it's available to hotels, to restaurants and attractions that are listed on TripAdvisor. And what you're able to do, you're able to customize an email, as you see on your left. And we have these templates in 30 different languages that we support. And you're able to customize this, and then you're able to send to your guests, inviting them to write a review. And on the right, you have the dashboard that you can monitor the performance of these emails you're sending. So there's a company out there, it's called MailChimp. It's a similar solution to that, where we are simply powering the send of the email, but actually the from email, the subject line, it's all what you customize, the text itself. And one other aspect of Review Express is that once a guest writes a review and it's displayed on TripAdvisor, you will get this tagging that you see at the middle here that says review collected in partnership with this hotel. This is also, from a user perspective, quite interesting because it gives that indication to the user, okay, this hotel is working with TripAdvisor to drive more reviews. The user is able to click on the I to understand better what that means, and he explains, okay, that we're working with this hotel to encourage more reviews. The next point that I want to make is that today Review Express has been used by over 100,000 properties globally, and on average they see 33% more reviews, and this is the system that exists used manually. From this, from speaking to these properties using Review Express, they've been asking us, could we create a way to automate this process? Because the way that has been working is that a hotel would need to come to TripAdvisor every time they wanted to send an email. So what we've done, we created a way to connect into different technologies. So in the case today, we've connected into Hotel Logics, and as long as you're using the Hotel Logics, you were able to automate Review Express, which means you would only come to TripAdvisor once to turn on the system, and from there everything would be automated. So it's really set and forget it. But the next slide, it's a case study of a group. It's called Meriton Service Apartments. They use Review Express, and it's just a clear indication of how it has impacted their business. They've been able to collect 65% more reviews. 10 out of 13 properties improved their rankings. The other 3 they were already ranked quite high, but they've been able to maintain that ranking because remember, it's not only about increasing or maintaining. Even if you went up, if you don't do anything, somebody else might be doing something, and then you might go down. So it's also about maintaining, right? And these service apartments, they've been able to get 60% more page views, and they clearly see more direct traffic coming to from TripAdvisor to their pages and doing bookings. And again, clear case study. So to summarize, really, what are the main benefits of Review Express? There is no cost on TripAdvisor to use it. I just want to make clear that it's a completely free solution to you, and it's also free on HotelLogics. And on TripAdvisor, you don't need to have any business listings, any premium account, or anything. As long as you're connected to your property as a verified manager or owner, or etc., you'll be able to use it. It's a great way to drive additional exposure, valuable exposure on TripAdvisor, but also that you can bring onto your direct site to display the reviews. It's customizable, all the different languages and etc. It has a high contribution rate. It's 6%. As you saw, sometimes it can be a lot higher. Obviously, it depends. And you have the dashboard to monitor the performance of these emails. So these are the main benefits, but just keep them in mind, as you go forward and decide what should I do. Now, I think I'll pass over to John again so he can talk about his own experience with this system.
Thank you, Fernando. Yeah, for my hotel, sending an email immediately after guest is checked out has worked very well for us. In my past experience as a marketing person, we found that a typical positive experience a person will tell 10 people about, but if a person has a negative experience with a company or brand, they tend to tell about 25 people. So I think by encouraging those that have positive interactions with my brand to make connection with TripAdvisor and to provide an endorsement and a review of my property, helps to raise the positive reviews and not necessarily minimize the negative reviews, but by encouraging more positive reviews, it does help to overcome those that were maybe we didn't perform quite as well. I would say that getting to #1 on TripAdvisor has been a combination of many factors for us. The most important thing is that we go to any lengths possible to make sure our guests have an absolutely outstanding experience. We consider ourselves to be the premium brand of independent hotels in our market, and we want to make sure that the guest experience supports our position. After that, I think it really comes down to things like, first of all, I train my staff to understand that anything less than a 5 rating on TripAdvisor is really not a success to us. We've also had guests give us 5 ratings for things where maybe the experience wasn't great, but because my staff and I went to great lengths to provide an excellent recovery experience, the guests felt that that they were justified to give us a positive review and come back and see us again. And that's the main thing that we want to drive is repeat business from our existing guests as well as first-time guests to have their first experience with us. When it comes to trusting reviews, there's probably about a 50-50 split what drives trust for the majority of our guests based on my interactions with them and asking them personally, how they feel about this and how they interact with us. For about half of us, or my guests, there's only going to be trust in the system if they can see that there's multiple reviews. If there's only 1 or 2 or 3 reviews, they're very dubious about them and they don't feel that they're legitimate. If there are only positive reviews, then that again raises a little bit of a flag about whether or not it may be legitimate. So by having a number of positive reviews as well as a couple reviews where maybe we didn't do as well, I think that helps to elevate the level of trust our guests have in our communications and in our brand. With that said, I certainly wouldn't want to allow my percentage of not 5 ratings to elevate from where it's at now. I don't know what my percentages are, but anytime I get anything less than a 5 rating, I really feel like we've let down our guests, and we really need to do something to step up our game. I've also used the automation to our advantage. As a small hotel, I've got a very small staff. I don't have any full-time people. By being able to automate reviews and collections, I can set it and forget it. I can then put my efforts into my other social media efforts, and as well as providing the outstanding guest experience and giving guests feedback and communications and being responsive to their needs. So by freeing up my time, I've allowed myself to be able to go out and create a better guest experience in other areas. Since we've done this automation, rather than just relying on guests to give us feedback based on their own volition, by triggering this or asking for that review, we've managed to increase the number of reviews we get by 200 or 300%. And this is still not a significant number, but we've gone from maybe 1 or 2 a month to 6 or 8 a month, and that is, fairly substantial for us, and especially because the vast majority of them are 5 ratings. That really does help to support our brand and elevate our perception with our guests. The other benefits of automation, it's good to have it to the guest within a couple days of their checkout while their experience is fresh in their mind. If we've done a good job, they feel like they're part of our brand, and they want to let other people know that they found this great little thing, and they have there's a sense of pride in there in being the first or the first of their peer group to kind of discover this new cool thing. And by giving us a review, that allows them to support that position for themselves in their own social media universe. By having an automated system, it allows me to build my reputation on a continuous basis. I'm not going to get 100 reviews in any one given day, but if I can continually solicit reviews from my guests on an ongoing, consistent basis, then I'm going to get ongoing, consistent feedback on how we're doing as a brand. Plus, I'm going to get that ongoing, consistent refreshing of search engine optimization content on my site that will help elevate my rankings in the search responses, as well as my rankings within TripAdvisor itself. More reviews means a higher chance of coming up and higher in search results, and I often, and I kind of hate to give out this secret, but because I'm a small independent hotel and I work really hard on my social media marketing and my local presence, I don't have to worry about creating a national brand and national advertising. 9 times out of 10, I rank better than the national brands when it comes to the search engines, because I've managed to localize my marketing and focus it on the key phrases that my guests are looking for, and I'm able to use my reviews to come up with those phrases by going through there and sifting and finding those things that the guests are commenting on consistently. Then I can make that a search term, and then based on that term, I can come up higher when a guest searches on that experience factor. So that's been kind of my secret sauce in a way to beating the national brands at their own game. And then the best part is that when I automate the reviews using my property management system, it reflects on the front desk for me and my staff to see. So if a guest visits us again in a short period of time, we can make sure that we see those details under the guest experience, and we know that we can optimize our experience on those factors that they really appreciated, or we can really work extra hard on overcoming those elements of our experience where maybe we didn't deliver as well as we typically do. Fernando, I think that's what I have for TripExpress. Can I hand this back to you?
Yes. Thank you, John. And
sure.
Just to mention what you said in terms of what can help your ranking on TripAdvisor. So it's great that you mentioned that, because really through this automation of Review Express, you're able to impact this, 3 of the main points that they can affect your ranking, which is the recency of the reviews, the quantity of reviews, so you're continuously encouraging and inviting people to review a property, and the quality, right? As you've seen in the examples in the case studies, the more you encourage, the more likely you are to collect reviews that have an overall better rating. So again, important piece of information. So now I'll just go quickly through how can you automate. So two realities here. One is that you're already using HotelLogix. The other you're not, but you may be considering. But once you are using and you have an account on TripAdvisor and you connected that account to your hotel, to your property, you have access to what we call the management center. There are different tools there, and Review Express is one of them. Again, as I said, it's a free tool. All you need to do is click on that link, and it will take you to this, what you see on the left here is the Review Express Center, where you have different tabs. And if you are already using HotelLogix, you'll see a box which says Automate, and it should say Opt-in Now. So you'll be able to click on that, and a second box will pop up, as you see on the yes. So you see the second box popping up on the right. There you'll be able to select HotelLogix, and then you're going to click Next, and then you come to the terms and conditions. Once you tick that, you'll be prompted to put your from email. So this is the from email that would be used in the email that we'll send out. Then in the next slide, you'll see where you can customize. So this is the default template that we have for all languages. So all the 30 different languages, they already have a default text and template. So you're able to change the from email. So what I've seen many hotels do is that they will use reservation at or info at. Then you're able to change the subject line, and you're able to change the photo. So some properties will use a logo, some will use a beautiful photo, and then you're able to customize the text. And you have different ways to customize it. But the great thing here is that these two allows you to collect reviews, to encourage reviews in all the different languages we support. So let's say you customize your template with your English, or with American English, for example, because we have the difference between British and American English. But you use that template, where you are not able to customize it in Japanese or German or French. We already have that template. So if we are passed information to send a Japanese template, we are able to do that, and you are then able to encourage reviews in multiple languages. That's an aspect that we didn't touch much on, but that's a reality that it's a global site, it's a global travel community. The multiple travelers from different languages and etc. And that's more and more important. And with that in mind, I just want to then talk to you about what I mentioned initially, private surveys. So this is the first time we're really talking about it with a group of hotels. We launched this feature in July, and it's really about sending your guests a survey in addition to the review form that will be displayed on TripAdvisor. So for you to understand, the private survey, it's private, as the name says, so it's only for you. TripAdvisor will not display this information anywhere. And this is how we can use it. I'll just show it to you now. So if you, in the same, again on the left, you have the Review Express Center. So one of the tabs, it's called Create Survey. And if you click on that, you see the default survey that's already created for you. You can either go and publish the survey as is, or you can add it. So you can delete some of those questions, and you can bring some other ones from the menu on the left. And again, if you do this in combination with with the Review Express, inviting the guest to write a review, what will happen is that once the guest receives the email, they will click on the link, and the link will prompt them first to answer the survey and then to write a review. And then you can come to the dashboard that I mentioned before to monitor the performance of this. So you're able to see how many reviews are being collected, but you're also able to download the results of the surveys, and you're able to analyze them as you please. The other thing just to mention here is that all this is free, but it's also, you can turn on and off at any time. So let's say you turn on today to automate, and for some reason, which is very unlikely, you say, no, I don't want to use it anymore. You can come and turn it off, and it will be off. Now, some frequently asked questions. So one that I mentioned over and over is like, what is the cost on TripAdvisor? It's free. On Hotel Logics, it's also free. It comes with a free forever plan or anything else. How do we protect your guest information that's being passed to us? That's crucial and is very important for us. It's stored in a separate area. Access is limited. Are we using that information for any other purpose? No. This is only used to send the email that you requested us to do. That's it. And what happens if the same guest and the information for the guest is passed twice and etc.? We have rules in place, we call them suppression rules, where we're not going to email the same guest the same email twice in a given period. So, I mean, you're able to read more about all this that we've been through, and I have some links they're coming up now. Yeah, there you go. And yes, so the first one is really, we'll give you more information how to set up your account, how to connect your business. Then there is information about Review Express if you want to opt in and automate it. And then we have the TripAdvisor Insights, which is a great blog that we've created for the industry with many case studies, lots of information, lots of research data that we are producing from our global access, from the travelers, but also from business. It's really great to help you, grow your business. And Hotel Logics also has created this page which gives you more information on how to use Review Express through your Hotel Logics Cloud PMS. And I think now we're ready for some questions. Does Review Express work with a legacy PMS? And well, the ideal scenario for Review Express Automated is in a cloud PMS. With a legacy, in our experience, it can be very complicated, and you may need to update your system and etc. etc. So I would say that the ideal solution is to use a cloud PMS, and that's why we're working closely with Hotel Logics. Yeah, are the private surveys questions customizable? They are. I mean, you're not able to create your own, but you're able to delete and pick from the list of questions that we have set up. This list has been created from our research with hoteliers, independent hoteliers, because it's actually, the target audience is really independent hotels. And the next one is, what happens when the guests don't read the mails? Is another email trigger. Okay, so the question here is, if I send the Review Express, if you send the Review Express to the guests, they don't read it, what happens next? So to understand the timing, okay, once we receive the information after checkout, the email is sent 48 hours later, so 2 days later. If nothing happens, a reminder email is sent out 7 days later. If nothing happens after that, that's it. We don't send anything else. The guests can unsubscribe, and as I said, we have the suppression rule. So they're not going to be receiving tons of emails. And another question here, will the number of reviews increase my hotel's ranking on TripAdvisor? What are the factors that can help increase my hotel's ranking? So the number itself will not increase your ranking, it will not help. What are the factors? As I mentioned before, and I think John mentioned as well, the recency, the quantity, and the quality. These are not the only factors, but these are very important factors. Let me see if there are any other questions. I think that these are the main questions I'm seeing. I don't know, John, do you have any questions from your side?
I do have a few questions, Fernando.
Yeah.
The first question is, what was the ranking of my property before I started doing Review Express? I was #1 in my market for quite some time, and then there was a new competitor that entered my market that was, because their model puts their owners and managers in more frequent contact with the guests than my model does, that gave them an advantage in submitting reviews. And so by using Review Express, that's allowed me to kind of even that playing field out to the benefit of the model that I use instead of my competitors. And now I've reattained my #1 ranking. So out of the 10 years we've been in business, I've been #1 probably 8 of those years, and #2 2 of those years. And I've reestablished my #1 ranking, mostly due to the Review Express.
Yeah. I like that example, John, because it's the point that we mentioned before, that okay, you're already high in the rankings, but still, in order to maintain it, you need to keep using it. So it's not just, oh, I'm already high, I don't need to do it. No, you actually, it's even more important, because then you need to keep it, because otherwise your competitors will do it and you might drop.
That's a great point, Fernando, because I know that when I was displaced from my #1 position, I doubled down on my efforts to reestablish that. Because we're small independent hotels, I feel like it's really important for me to be the best in that category in my market, and only by using Review Express was I able to kind of reestablish that. I have a couple other questions, if you don't mind, Fernando.
Yeah, sure, go ahead.
Yeah, one guest here asked, do I respond to my guest reviews and feedback regularly? And the answer is yes, because I feel like it's really a gift in a way for a guest to go out of their way and give me the time and the benefit of their experience and their knowledge to register for TripAdvisor if they're not already a member, and then to go through the steps to provide me a response. So I feel like it's really an obligation on my end to thank them for their time and thank them for caring enough to provide that feedback and that response. So I always want them to feel like I'm grateful for that and I don't take it for granted. How do I handle negative reviews? The key for me on negative reviews is to be open-minded and to understand what the guest wanted and where they are coming from. From talking to my peers over time, they often forget that the business is all about the guest and not about the business owner. And I think that the negative reviews help me to keep aware of that it's really about servicing them and not satisfying my own professional needs. But it also allows me to manage my business better. If I know we're falling down somewhere, I'm not always able to be everywhere and to understand all the particulars of a guest experience. By allowing them a channel of feedback where they're unfettered in giving their response, then they're able to tell me in a much more honest and consistent way the areas of my business where I need to improve and where I need to do a better job training, or I need to provide more incentives, or I need to redesign or re-engineer some aspect of how we do business so that we can overcome those negativity. Or not negativity, but negative aspects of a particular review. And I think that really the key there is, many of my peers that have independent small business people are afraid to relinquish control of that channel. They're afraid that if they let anybody tell the world what they think, that they're going to tell them something negative, and they're definitely afraid of that because they're not sure how to respond or overcome that. And I think that that's really the greatest opportunity for my business to improve, is by hearing those things that maybe we're not doing as well on a consistent basis and we need to do better.
Yeah, excellent. Thank you, John. And John, do you have any more questions on your side?
I think that's all I've got, Fernando.
Yeah. I mean, I have some more questions on my side. I mean, yeah, there is one. I won't be able to go through all of them now, but I think I work with Hotel Logics to get these answers. I mean, to make a list of all the questions, and then we'll be able to send them to you. But I'll just pick some of them here. I think this one. So as TripAdvisor does more as a booking engine, how do you feel this will impact the trust that customers will have in the brand? Well, I think the idea of referring here is what we call instant booking. So it's where the traveler is actually able to book on TripAdvisor. I mean, what we're doing there is actually we're connecting into your booking engine, so the hotel's booking engine, and we're bringing that experience on TripAdvisor. If you think, a lot of our traffic happens on mobile, and it's a really bad experience when you link out, you're on TripAdvisor and then you see a price and it goes to Expedia booking. It's a really bad experience. So just that fact that they'll be able to will create a much more smooth experience for the traveler. Thinking of your trust, we actually have a great positive impact because it's about, okay, you're already here, you're looking at this information, how can you make your life even easier? One other area that the TripAdvisors use more and more is not just for planning of the trip, and booking, but it's also while you're traveling. So we are, thinking, okay, I'm staying at a hotel, I'm staying at Joans B&B, but then what can I do in the area? What are the attractions in the area? What are the restaurants nearby? A lot, TripAdvisor is more and more used in that reality. And we're also allowing for a lot of that kind of booking to take place. So as I don't know if you're aware, but we acquired a company in Europe called La Fourchette, which is a restaurant booking engine, and then also Viator, which is a tour booking engine. Again, thinking, okay, how can we simplify for the traveler the experience and really let them focus on enjoying whatever they're doing. So I think we'll have a positive impact in the trust. And let me see another one. Will the Review Express be customized for each guest, or will be sent in bulk? So you can customize as often as you want, but it's not sending in bulk either. So let's say if you customize the template today and then you go away, and that's the template they'll be using for each guest that checks out. You could come back tomorrow and add it, and etc. But it's based, it's like that. So it's not for each guest, but it's I guess in what you say here, it's in bulk. Let me see another one. Okay, so here's a good question. How does a hotel get Review Express if it does not have a PMS which is connected to TripAdvisor? That's a very good question, because so you're able to use Review Express manually at any time. So you can go to the site, you can again register and verify your account to your property, and then go to the Review Express Center, which is behind the management center. What I advise you to do is to consider, okay, which technologies are connected, because we're connected both with PMS and booking engines. But as we mentioned before, in terms of having a legacy PMS and a cloud PMS, everything works better in the cloud with the system, and also I think things moving forward will just be easier to be on the cloud for hotels as well. So I would recommend considering what system are you using, what options do I have. But until you connect to one that's using, you can use it manually.
I have another question here, Fernando, from Mohammed Safi. He's asking for ways to get guests to write the reviews with our name in it without bluntly asking them to do so. And I think that the whole point of the Review Express is that you are directly asking a guest for a positive review. And I think that that's, well, you're not asking for a positive review, you're asking for a review. And whether it's positive or negative is up to what kind of experience you're providing for the guest and what their expectations are. But because it's coming directly from us, being to your previous question about whether they're customized or bulk, it goes directly to my guest. It has their name in the header of the email, so it's customized from that perspective. But it doesn't, the questions and the content are consistent from one guest to the other. So because it's coming from us, they're asking for a specific review of German Village Guest House, not just a recent hotel experience, or, you know, do you have something positive you want to say about somebody? No, specifically, you stated the German Village Guest House within the last couple of days. Here's a, you know, a little technology tool that you can click on to give us some feedback on your review, and that way it's directly associated with my hotel, not just kind of a general, oh yeah, I stayed at this hotel once a long time ago, and here's what I thought about it. I hope that answers your question, Mohammed.
Thank you, John. I think the questions, there are more questions here on my side too, but those that are unanswered now, Sarah will email the answers to you later on, and I guess this, you know, everyone will get a chance to read them.
Right. Thank you so much, Fernando and John, for taking the time to share your insights today, as well as taking the time to answer the many questions from the audience. And I'd also like to take a moment to announce an additional opportunity we have for our webinar participants to win a free session with Avijit Arya of Internet Moguls. And the session will focus on your hotel's online reputation management. And we will be selecting winners from those who submit the webinar feedback questions, as well as those who tweet the webinar using the hashtag #ReviewsForHotels. And thank you to all of you who joined us today, and for all of your questions. There were a lot of questions left over, so we will be sending a copy of all the questions and answers via email to all the registrants, and this will include replies to the questions that John and Fernando did not yet get a chance to answer. So thank you to everyone for your participation today, and we would really appreciate your feedback on the webinar by answering the questions that will show on the screen when you close your webinar window. Thank you, and have a great rest of your day.